Okay, so what we've got here is basically just sketches trying to get sort of hairstyles right. The face is, people call it mangary anime.
I do.
You do.
Very big eyes.
Yeah, very big eyes. I think by that time we'd decided that she was going to have slightly larger than life eyes. It was not overly cartoony, although this picture is, but I knew that the final 3D model wouldn't be overly cartoony. But yes, a little bit bigger, a little bit more exaggerated features. The hair, the problem with hair is ridiculous, because when you draw something, what looks good for that picture at that time, you may do a little bit of flicky flyaway hair here or there, wouldn't necessarily work in real life. It wouldn't necessarily work when you turn it into a 3D model. So actually drawing a hairstyle and actually getting that interpreted into a 3D model is actually really, really hard. And I know a lot of the modelers here had an awful lot of trouble with some of the wild and wacky hairstyles that we gave her.
Because she went through a lot of different variations.
We did go through a lot of different variations, hairstyles, long hair, short hair. Don't think we ever had her bald, but I'm sure we would have got there eventually.
And we had a bald in Bugs.
Yes, we had
her hair separates like a wig.
Yes. And you can see the inside of her head is hollow. So it's very hard. The transition between a 2D picture and its interpretation into a 3D model is a very tricky thing.
Is that why you draw the same character in different poses?
You do. I've not done too much of that, because all the character artists, all the 3D modelers here at Rare are all artists in their own right. So it's nice to allow them a bit of freedom to actually, put their own sort of stamp on something. So I sort of figure the concept art is there to give direction, give an overall feel to what you want, but it gives them enough room to do their own thing, basically. So this picture here is just, her face is not as it was. I don't think her face is as it ever was in the game. It's just a quite a sort of generic-y sort of girl face. This was more trying to get the sort of the hairstyle right, how the hair flapped over the face, how much did it flap over the eyes. It was tucked behind the ear, so you could see a little doodah communicator, bunny link TM.
Named. Because it looks like a giant bunny ear.
That is basically a standard anime staple, that sort of little aerial thing that sticks out the back.
And the weird thing is, now it's become like a really popular thing.
I know.
You go around shopping centres and you see people with Bluetooth headsets.
This is it. The thing is, originally I made it quite big, because there's no point in making a really teeny tiny thing, because on the model in the game you'll never ever see it. It will just disappear. So you make it over, you exaggerate it, but of course now it looks really clunky in comparison to the Bluetooth headsets you get now. So it's really weird. It's like, 20 years in the future, but it's bigger than the ones people are wearing now. But
everyone you see walking around with Bluetooth headsets now, you see them walking around town and they're talking to themselves, but if you don't notice the headset, they look like lunatics.
But of course you can't do that in the game. She needs to have something that's recognisable. It needs to stand out so you can actually refer to it and people can see it. So again,
is this something that again went over the other characters? So Jack's got one as well, hasn't he?
Yes, I think
Jack and Chandra.
Jack hasn't got one, but Chandra has got one. I'm not quite sure why Jack hasn't got one. I think Jack's got a standard radio sort of clip to his sort of
because he's old
jacket,
school.
because he's old school, yeah. But Chandra's definitely got one. And again, it's a Datadyne product, because we tried to make it so that Datadyne was sort of invasive into all everyday sort of life. So they make all the devices. This is an ironic sort of twist. See there that Joe's fighting against Datadyne, but in fact she uses all the products that they make and uses all the operating systems they create as well. But so hair. Lots of designs of hair, lots of drawings of hair, but in the end, it's up to the 3D artist to sort of tweak a design and make it work. Yeah, this one is more of a study, trying to show, although the face, the actual design of the eyes and stuff like that isn't really what was intended for the final picture. It's intended to show the sort of proportions of the face in relationship to the hair and maybe sort of the bunny link and everything. So this one, you could actually, well, the modeler could actually take this, import it into the 3D package, and just sort of work around it. They can use it as a reference. We used to do this on lots of characters as well. You do what's called a T-pose, where they've got their arms stretched out sort of either side of them. The 3D modeler can actually sort of take that and use that as a basis for the model. So this one's a bit more of a proper study, a bit more of a proper reference study. I think her head and her proportions have changed quite a bit since then, because the other thing is, when you do a stylized character, for instance, cartoon characters, especially sort of Japanese anime characters and that, the actual proportions of the body are a lot different from a normal person. We're of course using motion capture here, which is motion referenced from a real person, so you can't exaggerate things too much, because the bones and the actual markers for the movement are in a real place.
Yeah.
You know, they are a person's arm is as long as a person's arm is. You can't make their arm twice as long, because the motion won't work on it, the animation won't work on it.
So you're trying to find a balance between creating something that's stylized,
Precisely.
yet realistic-ish.
Yeah, realistic, cartoony, not too stylized. Or it's a mixer of everything. It's just a fine line. It's a balance. You start with a picture, goes to the model, you tweak the model, you do another picture, you tweak the model. So lots of sketches like this come out, just trying to get the proportions right, but ones that actually work with the system that's used in the game. Okay, so this is a bit more. Although these look a lot more sort of anime-ish in the eyes, the actual hairstyle and whatever is a lot more what we ended up with. The drawing is obviously, you can see the segments in the hair are very, very defined, because basically these were going to be replicated using polygons. Very, very difficult to get polygon hair looking right, especially if it needs to move. You've got layers like intersecting, overlapping. It's very, very difficult to get it to look right. So these were just sort of sketches trying to show what it would look like from different angles. But even here, if you look at the front on pose and you turned it sideways, it wouldn't look like that, because
You cheated us.
I cheated us. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do. It's a very, very difficult thing to not cheat when you draw a picture, because you tend to just gravitate towards what you think looks cool and not what is absolutely correct. It's the old Mickey Mouse thing, isn't it? You know, his ears are flat on no matter what way you look at him. It obviously wouldn't work like that in real life. The blonde streak really was a last minute thing. That was very, very late in the day that the blonde streak came in. Again, it's just looking at a character. Is she iconic enough? Is she got something? Has she got all the elements that they'll recognise her straight away? Also, the fact that we're putting her in different outfits throughout the game is, if you put her in a bikini, if you put her in a dress, if you put her in a Character Institute outfit, can you immediately tell that is Joanna Dark?
Yeah.
So we're just putting all these. I mean, she's even got a beauty spot on these pictures here, but which obviously morphed into the tattoo at a later date. So it's just trying to find all those little tricks so that people will actually remember. There are other red-headed game characters out there. I remember the girl from Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
We looked at that quite a lot. How can you make another red-haired girl be distinctive? You know, it's the hairstyle. It's, you know, having things like maybe the colour of the eyes, maybe the shape of the eyes, and also things like the tattoo on it. So this is just another study, one of many, 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 many that we did, just to try and get her right.